Hi, my name is Kether Eaglestone, and we have decided to... Right, I'm going to do it right this time. It's quite easy to get tangled up in the complex issues relating to drugs. We will try to guide you through these without getting lost. We're determined to find out as much information as possible about drugs misuse and related issues for making a programme. For this, we've gathered together a small film crew. So let's begin. What's the first thing we have to research? Any ideas?
What about the reasons for drug misuse? I mean, why do people use drugs?
It's a good idea. Let's go. So why do you reckon people take drugs?
I always thought it was a means of escapism, you know, to escape the pressures of everyday life and relax for a while.
Don't know, I think it's like, my dad reckons it's more peer pressure, you know, it's like, just choose your friends well.
Yeah, it could be peer pressure, but there again it could be just curiosity for the first time.
We'll find out soon. Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Well, basically what sort of happened was my first initial sort of like engagement with drugs was when I was about sort of 13 to 14. Just sort of started smoking pot and everything in mate's car, messing about, and that was it really.
Just experimental purposes to start off with, I suppose. That's
Basically what it was more of a sort of quest to sort of like take every drug possible to try it, so I've experienced every experience possible.
Yeah, just curiosity really to start with, and then because I liked them, enjoyed the experience sort of it.
It was escapism in a way, really, to escape from the day to day and worrying about the court case all the time.
Right, as we saw, curiosity and experimentation are the main reasons why people start taking drugs. But why do they continue?
Because they enjoy it.
Let's go and find out the positive reasons why people take drugs.
Okay, boss.
Feeling it's just comforting, and even if you don't do it, and if you've got some, then you know that you've got some coming, that you just feel comforted by that.
mentally, it's euphoric, really. Some people say it's better than sex, but well, I'm not going to commit myself to that one. But yeah, but physically, it's just the rush is. It's just a feeling of warmth.
I take drugs because I like them, and any bad experiences I've had are outweighed by the sort of
for the good.
The feelings of well-being and niceness about it.
Yeah, all the good experiences overcome all the bad experiences.
I thought drugs were like, a real big problem or something. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
But wait, you haven't heard the negative effects yet?
With heroin, you see, what it is, it's like a ball and chain. You have to use to be normal. I can't go off on holidays. I can't be away from my town for too long a time. Always have to worry about money. Always have to worry about where I am to get back to Wood, to get myself sorted out, basically. So I haven't been on holiday for like 8-9 years. I cannot go away for weekends unless I sort of like have 200 quid in my pocket, then stock up before I go and take that with me. I can't go abroad because I have a habit. So really it's just like a ball and chain. It's not so much doing it to enjoy it, it's doing it to survive and be able to work and because I was holding a job down at the time. It was doing it to just survive and just be normal.
So far we've found out the effects that drugs have on the user's mind. But all about the user's body, his health.
Go on, boss.
Is this affected anyway? Yeah, I'm coming. Greg, do you remember if any of our interviewees said anything about their health due to their addiction?
Yeah, I remember that.
I decided to stop taking drugs because I'd reached the end of my drug taking, in the sense that no matter what drugs I used or what cocktail of drugs I used, nothing took away the thing that I looked at my son and thought he deserves better. You know, I could go through £200 worth of heroin and crack on top in a day and I would still feel guilty and I would still feel there's got to be more to life and I'm capable of much more. And I wanted life, and I was in so much desperation and loneliness and had so little self-respect and self-esteem through using drugs. It was time for me to stop because all that was left to go down is further and further and further.
So when you're scoring, you've got to get up in the morning, sort some money out, phone your man up, meet your man, sort yourself out, and all that takes time, you see. So that's like half a day killed, or a day sometimes. Sometimes you could be waiting an hour, sometimes you could be waiting, 8, 9 hours. But that'd be your day just waiting for it, waiting to score, basically, and that would be your day taken up. So it's part of the culture, is the waiting and the sorting out and the time factor.
During the day, I wanted to have drugs and I got my drugs and I took them and I wasn't stoned enough, and all I ever thought about was going out, getting some money, coming back and taking some more drugs, going out, getting some money, coming back and taking some more drugs. Get your head on the pillow, wake up in the morning, where am I going to get my drugs from? Going out, getting money, getting some drugs, had the drugs, needed some more drugs. Nothing had much else relevance in my life except for getting the drugs, taking them and getting stoned.
We must go and see a doctor, a GP. I have a name here. Dr. Wilson. Let's go to her.
Can you describe the difference between a physical addiction and a psychological addiction?
A physical addiction is when a person actually gets physical symptoms if they don't have that drug. For example, they may get palpitations or sweating or nausea, whereas a psychological addiction is where they don't get any of those symptoms, but their mind feels that they need.
Do you think cannabis should be legalised?
I'm sure that in time cannabis will be legalised for medical reasons, but my opinion about legalising it generally is no, it shouldn't be at the moment.
Not many GPs prescribe methadone, only a few GPs will actually take that on, because again, doctors don't usually feel they've got the expertise to deal with that, and so we would tend to refer back to specialist agencies for dealing with that sort of problem.
So we've learnt a lot about the effects of drug use on people and the reasons for them taking them. So where do we go now?
I don't think we have finished with the effects yet, Jenny. Drugs affect the user, but also affects their families and a whole other circle of people, like their friends.
Got to find out how it affects the families of the people.
Well, we managed to get in contact with the mother of a user. She doesn't want her identity disclosed, though.
I'll have to go back to the studio then.
Okay.
Different ways. I mean, as a family, it's actually, to begin with, it was awful knowing that your actual son, took this hard drug.
And it was heartbreaking for my mum in particular to see, because she knew that before the drugs I had intelligence and I could do the things I wanted to do because I'm a strong and determined person, and for me to just throw that all away and do the things I did and live in such a self-imposed prison when I was capable of so much more must have been, I have a child of my own now, it must have been horrific for her to watch that. And my brother and my father, they disassociated themselves from me totally.
He didn't start until he was probably about 21, 22, I don't think, until he started taking ecstasy. I mean, he had lovely teenage years, lovely childhood. Had everything he wanted, I think. Not too much, but everything, you know.
It's affected my family quite severely, really, because I put a lot of pressure on them, just through me sort of having a habit, really. I mean, although I don't show my parents sort of like love or gratitude or anything like that, I mean, I do care for them immensely, but it's hard to explain.
You know, when he goes out, if he's on heroin, you don't know whether you're going to get somebody knocking at the door to say he's dead, you know, or anything. So it has really sort of broke the family a bit.
In all fairness, I've got very supportive parents, and they know that I've got a heroin habit. And to be fair to them, they've helped me out with money and that, because parents sort of said, rather than me doing burglaries or robbery or anything, my parents would rather give me the money. They know what's going on. I mean, I've explained the situation to them.
It's all our money going. I mean, people perhaps say I shouldn't give it to him, but if I didn't give it to him, if we didn't give it to him as a family, I just feel, where is he going to get it from? Is he going to go and do something drastic? Is he going to go and do something stupid to get it? Because they crave for it. It's just made him into a monster, really, in a way. I think it's peer pressure. There's peer pressure. It's got to be.
Apparently this is a lot more serious than most people, think it is.
It gets even more serious. Drug use is illegal. Do you remember what our interviewee said about the police?
I think they're not interested in the small fry, the people taking it. They're more interested in the ones who are supplying it. But my way of thinking, it should start with the small fry. Do them and work up. You know, perhaps I'm hard. I've always told my son if I found out who was supplying him, I would shop them. And he knows that. He knows that.
There's a lot of ignorance in the police force, certainly, about the realities of the situation, drugs-wise. See, I mean, some of them just blatantly don't know what they're talking about.
Yes, the police knew I had a habit. That at this time when I hit this inspector, I was pregnant with my son, and when I found out I was pregnant, without any help, I just knew that this little baby did not deserve to be born addicted to drugs. But because my habit was so big, I couldn't just stop without affecting the unborn baby. And I was taking methadone to reduce off gradually so the baby would be okay. And when I was arrested, the police were trying to deny me to see a doctor, and I needed to see the doctor because I was concerned for my baby. And he said the best thing I could have done for my baby is keep my legs closed. And I hit him for that.
Basically, I think the police's attitude is just awful anyway towards everyone, really. They're just so wrapped up in themselves.
Yeah, I think if you've got a habit, it goes part and parcel of that game and that life that you're going to get in trouble with the police.
Inherently got a bad attitude if you're a policeman, haven't you? Basically. I mean, it's a job requirement, really.
Wow, they're just a bad lot, the whole lot of them, really.
We've got to interview a police officer, just to see their opinion anyway.
Yeah, I have a contact in the police, DC Mike Scott. Let's go and see him.
Okay.
Do you think that the police generally have enough education about drug-related issues?
In general terms, no. I think in specialist terms, yes. And that's a very easy thing to say. And I think that we are aware of dealing with drug offenders and drunken offenders because that comes with experience. The police reflect society in many different ways, and society doesn't have a great understanding of the drug issue. Clearly, if alcohol or vodka was, for example, discovered today, we would not make it legal because of its harmful effects, and the same goes for tobacco.
How can it be condoned that ecstasy users are criminalised when more people are killed by speeding police cars than by the drug?
Well, I don't know the authenticity of that quote, but I'll answer it in this way, that taking ecstasy and dealing with ecstasy is against the law. As police officers, I have a responsibility in terms of arresting people in possession of ecstasy and dealing in ecstasy. Clearly, taking ecstasy is a dangerous thing. I know that people say that millions of tablets are taken over a weekend, and we don't have millions of people dying. Nonetheless, there is a law enforcement responsibility.
What kind of support do you provide the drug misuser who are brought to the police station?
At present, very little. As I've already indicated, we have responsibilities in relation to how we deal with people who come into custody who appear to be ill, and I include people who are suffering the effects of drugs. Other than arresting, interviewing, charging, and maybe bailing them to appear at court, that's the level of police response with an individual. If you're looking to maybe go to university or looking for a job in some sectors, you'll lose out if you've got a drug conviction. So those are the long-term risks.
It's too early in the morning, boss. Can we arrange this for later sometime?
Sorry, Sam. I should have told the drugs advisory coordinator to wait till you got out of bed. Stop whinging. It's our last interview, let's go and do it.
Okay.
What sort of people come to you for advice? Can you explain that to us, please?
Yeah, there's no kind of one fixed group of people. If we look at non-users, I mean, a lot of our initial contacts, phone calls, are from parents, a lot of who we don't see because we do a lot of phone work. In terms of people using drugs, it's anyone from usually early teens through to 50. The biggest one age group would be the late 20s. Most people using drugs don't need our service because, whether the government likes it or not, the reality is most people using drugs don't actually develop problems.
Do you think that people like doctors and police have enough knowledge about drug misuse?
No. I'm generalising, no. I mean, we do some training with doctors and it's very limited. And talking to a lot of doctors recently qualified, they get very, very little input around drugs and drug use in their training. Police will get some training, but I think it's important to remember that their police are not social workers. Whilst they may get sort of how to recognise drugs and on the legal side, and some police are quite good and quite compassionate and will try and help people out and refer on. Basically, the police are there to enforce the Misuse of Drugs Act, and they're not there to be social workers or drug workers. Figures suggest there's 3 or 4 million regular dope smokers, and any one weekend between 500,000 and 750,000 MDMA users, ecstasy users, and goodness knows how many speed users. Now the reality is the majority of these people won't develop problems. It's risk-taking, but most don't develop problems.
Hey guys, let's go back and see what we have. We must start editing as soon as possible. Yeah. Okay, Sam, that looks okay up to now, but we need some of the conclusions.
What about using the conclusions from the interviews?
Good idea. Fetch the tapes.
Right.
You won't ever have your life back if you take heroin. You won't.
I'm not saying that cannabis leads to heroin, but every single heroin addict I know, and I must know about 500, started using cannabis. But not everyone who smokes cannabis goes on to heroin. So you never know whether you're going to be the person that goes on to heroin or crack, serious, full-time, hardcore drug users. And if that does happen to you, you've got to remember that it's going to take everything you value, everything you respect. It's going to take your family, it's going to take your soul, it's going to take everything from you, and a little bit more.
Something that's done this weekend, last weekend, an arrest, may appear to be innocuous today at 17, but when you're 24 and you, for example, want to join the RAF, you're not going to get in because you've got a drug conviction. Or you want to go to America on holiday, they may not let you in because you've got a drug conviction. There are knock-on effects to to the risks involved, and they're not just punishment, they could be life-changing.
A man's been using mind-altering substances since forever, and will continue to do so.
As we saw, the issue of drug misuse is a very complex and important matter. It has a big impact on our society, and many people are facing serious problems because of their habit. Here are some useful contact numbers in case you ever need some advice or help.